something saved over. There should be vestiges of this Injil that was given to him, but we don't have any. The four gospels are altogether different. So
Amen.
no, I do not believe that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is the Injil. You first have to show me evidence of this Injil so we can do a comparative analysis.
Anymore to earn your way to heaven. Jesus took the punishment on himself.
Oh my God.
No more hokey pokey to go into the bathroom.
Muslims, I welcome a dialogue and a discussion. You just have to be able to provide evidence for the things that you claim, because as far as I'm concerned, that's all the Quran is. It's a collection of unsubstantiated claims. And so we're not Muslims, so we're going to be looking for multiple attestation. We're going to be looking for witnesses, which is what's prescribed by Yahweh, in our scriptures. Deuteronomy, 19:15b. Every matter must be established on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 14:29, he says 2 or 3 prophets should speak and the others should judge. That's what you guys do not want with Muhammad. You don't want Muhammad to be judged and assessed by other prophets, because he's going to come up short. How much gas in the tank, Travis, do you think that vehicle about your scriptures being corrupted has, man? Isn't that about to run out of gas, man?
Yeah, and in fact, the Quran says it can't happen, If the Torah and the Injil were revealed by Allah, no one can corrupt his words. Why are the Muslims here saying his words were corrupted? What Allah meant to say was, no one can corrupt it this time. I promise I'll do better this time, guys.
But look at the track record that he left. I mean, now that that's just like a guy who messes around on his wife 20 times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She's not going to believe you this time.
Right. So he has 125,000 prophets, loses all his scriptures, and then promises this time he's going to do better.
Exactly. You've already, you've already given me evidence that your track record shows that you cannot be trusted when it comes to these scriptures.
Yeah, but why isn't there not one single manuscript of an Injil?
Exactly.
Even the Christian heretics help affirm our gospel canon, right? So I think it was Marcion that was a heretic, right? He rejected. I think he rejected Matthew, Mark, and John, and then he took a portion of Luke because he hated their Jewishness.
Yeah, he took out he expurgated all of the genealogies, anything that was overly Jewish.
Yeah. So even he was like, even the heretics point to what was accepted by the early church, but we can't misconstrue the importance of Eusebius's work in the 3rd century.
Mm-hmm. 4th century.
4th century, I mean. Yeah, so I think it was a little before the Council of Nicaea, maybe, but he does a work called the Homilogumena, where he studies history in the 5 major churches and what was regarded as the fourfold gospel. And he works backwards through history. All the 5 major churches all concurred that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were the gospel authors of the fourfold gospel. How come when we do history, we don't see anything about this Injil?
Yeah, I mean, you would think as somebody as important as Jesus was, there would be just something. There'd be like one verse.
But what's
You
even
know what
more
I'm
amazing?
saying?
Yeah, it shows up in the 7th century though, and the Quran says they have it. How did it go from the time of Jesus completely missing in history and then show back up at the time of Muhammad?
Right.
This is historically impossible.
Ibn Ali, why are you still chiming in the chat? As a matter of fact, who did somebody move him down? One of my moderators?
Yeah, man, just because he was over talking you, and I did just for a second, man. You can
Oh,
bring
you
it back
did?
up.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, man, this dude bailed out of here pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I moved him down, man. He was.
No, I was gonna do it anyway, unless if he wasn't able to either do one of two things: either give me the evidence from the first century that Jesus lived in the first century, or he wasn't able to give me any evidence of this tangible evidence of this Injil, then I was gonna drop him.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. For this conversation to even kick off, they have to prove this Injil they're talking about ever existed. Otherwise, we're having an argument from silence, and they're invoking Sasquatch into the conversation. The Quran says they have the Injil in their possession at the time of Muhammad. This is the method that they were supposed to recognize Muhammad's description and his prophethood.
Right.
What is this? Where is it? And show us proof of it.
And why does Ibn Ashaq, which I know it was originally Ibn Asham, right, documenting that Muhammad said that John wrote the Gospel of John?
Right. So what's cool about Ibn Asham's butchering of Ibn Ishaq was that he takes out the embarrassing things for the Muslims, and he leaves this in here.
Exactly.
Yeah, he leaves in that John was the gospel author.
Which proves that he considered it to be authentic.
Right. Page 104. It is extracted from what John the Apostle sent down for them when he wrote the gospel for them from the testament of Jesus, son of Mary. So because history is being done here by the Muslims say, we reject this, because he's just using simple history.
Yeah.
We know who the followers of Jesus were. We would expect that they wrote down his gospel. Right? Now, he has a problem with Matthew. Matthew is also mentioned as a follower of Jesus in the earliest biography of Muhammad. Andrew and Matthew to the land of the cannibals. This is stolen from a Christian source. Then we got James and Bartholomew and John. So why is it that the earliest Muslim source when it comes to Muhammad's life mentions the followers of Jesus?
Yep.
Now, this is a problem because if the Quran says the followers of Jesus are going to be supported and uppermost to the day of resurrection, their message should be, right?
Yep. And you'd also expect that those same individuals that's listed in that biography would have knowledge of what Jesus taught.
Right. They can tell you everything about the Injil and what it's not, but they can never tell you where it is, who wrote it, who penned it down. They don't know anything, but they can tell you it's not that. This is like me knocking on your door, DL, saying you don't have it. And I'm like, and you're like, what is it? And I'm like, I don't know, but you don't have it. But you did have it. This is a really weird conversation.
Exactly, man. Can you bring up chapter 18 of John?
Yeah, actually, I can.
I don't know what's up with this phone, man, but it doesn't allow me to share my screen.
And what's awesome is the earliest biography of Muhammad starts quote mining John 16 and John 14. It's funny how they weren't appealing to an Injil if this isn't the Injil. You said John 18?
John chapter 18.
Okay.
And start at verse 19 through 21.
I hope you guys can put up with my, if this is hard to see, I'll run to my computer. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teachings. Jesus answered him, I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all the Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me and what I said to them. They know what I said.
Okay, now he said,
Wow.
if you want to know what my teaching, my doctrine is, ask those who heard, for they might know.
Or they know.
They know what I said.
Notice Jesus isn't flopping
Jesus
around
said,
here.
Okay, remember Muhammad said, if you want to know the Quran, ask these four guys.
Right.
Jesus said, if you want to know what my teaching is, ask those who heard me, which were his disciples.
Wow. So like a valid witness testimony, ask those that testify of me. They seen me,
Amen.
they touched me, yeah. You notice Jesus isn't flopping around on the ground giving himself verses. It's not for you to question the prophet. Jesus said, try me, look at me. Everyone's witnessed what I've done.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, he publicly spoke, man. I wasn't doing nothing in secret or anything. You want to know what my teaching, what my doctrine is? Ask those who heard me. They know, not they might know, or they might remember something, like Muslims say. They know what I said.
And this is how our Bible functions, as a valid witness testimony. The Quran is opposite, though. It's a dude running out of a cave stealing Jewish bedtime stories. Runs out of a cave one day.
Yep.
So I think what we need to do before we even have these conversations with the Muslims is prove outside of the Quranic claim that what you're calling the Injil ever existed for the conversation to even kick off. Outside of the Quranic claim, guys, it's the challenge. It's the claim that we're challenging. You don't open the Quran and say, see, it talks about the Injil. This is the claim that we're putting on trial. This Jesus Injil that disappears instantly out of history. As soon as Jesus gets it, it goes missing because there's no witnesses to it, no manuscripts, no historical mentions. Then it shows back up in the 7th century and the Quran says they have it in their possession. Then magically it disappeared for the last 1400 years again. The only thing consistent about this Injil is no one can nail it down.
Oh, man.
We're playing whack-a-mole with this thing.
I try to make it easy on him, Brother Travis. I just say, hey, man, just quote like the very first verse from it.
Yeah, so
each gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I can ask the average Christian just to quote the first verse from it, and they could probably do it, right? You'd expect that this Injil, right, which was given to the most important person ever born in the Quran. I mean, who else was born of a virgin? Who was the word of Allah? Who was a spirit from Allah? I mean, that's a very special type of individual to be born into the world. He went around, right, teaching from this Injil, and then when Allah takes him to himself, everybody just forgot it. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that nobody ever mentioned it. So even if we lost our fourfold gospel, we're not going to lose historical mentions of it. We're not going to lose manuscripts. This God's book was not only lost, it was kidnapped to never show up in history. We one-upped them. No one can change my words. And we're like, joink, and we snatch it out of history. We snatch it out of people's memories, out of their mouth, out of the ground.
It's unbelievable to me, man.
How about this new Muslim attempt by people like Central Dawa trying to jam Muhammad into the book of Isaiah? These same chapters he's going to is the same servant that's born of a virgin, right? He's the same servant that lays down his life in Isaiah 53, and he resurrects.
Speaking of that, it's funny you brought that up. I just actually about an hour ago got through watching David Wood debate.
Destroy him. The Muslims in the chat were like, David Wood picked somebody that's not intelligent in Islam. It was Central that was begging for that butt whipping.
Mohammed Aqua, no resurrection in Isaiah. Are you sure? Ibn Ali, I sent you another request to come up, man. I think that because you know what's required of you now when you come up here, you're not so anxious to come up on stage. No, David Wood stayed on topic.
Yeah, he put Muhammad right in the Bible where he belonged as a false prophet. I agree.
So what Central Dawah tried to do.
Has anyone heard Central Dawah break down the weeks of Daniel yet?
No, he hasn't touched chapter 9 yet because he's going to have to grapple with that Messiah figure, which it absolutely says Mashiach in verse 26. And I don't think he's ready to deal with that right now. Yeah. 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 So start mentioning Daniel chapter 2.
That's wild, bro. Look at this. This is why the high priest tore his clothes in Mark 14. Jesus laid claim to this person. He understood this character in the Bible was a divine character.
Yep.
In my vision, I looked, and there before me was one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, sovereign power, guys. All nations and peoples of every language worshiped him. Is Central saying that Muhammad is worshipped?
Oh my gosh.
I think this is I think in the Hebrew is it Pelach? Pelach?
Yeah, Pelach.
Right, and I think in the Greek is it Latruo?
Latruo. Right. And and Latruo is exclusively used of God.
Sovereign worship that's due only to God, guys.
Yep.
Central saying that we're going to be worshiping Muhammad here. This is wild, bro. This is why the high priest tore his clothes and said blasphemy in Mark 14.
What's the Hebrew word for worship?
Yeah. So I believe the Hebrew word here is Pelot.
Okay, and is it exclusively used for God?
Actually, in that passage, that's
No,
Aramaic.
he's right.
Oh
It's
yeah, I
Pelot.
forgot that this word is this section of Daniel is actually in Aramaic.
Yeah, I know. But is it
Yeah.
exclusively is it exclusively used for worship for God?
Not in
Yeah.
Aramaic.
In Aramaic, it is. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. Thank you.
So since you came back,
Greek,
bro,
in Greek, when it's translated as latruo by the ancient Jewish sages, they use the Greek word latruo, which is exclusively used for worship of
I
deity.
mean, that's again.
hey,
that's
since
not
Ibn
what I meant.
Ali's back, DL, can we ask what was the Injil being referenced in the
Again,
7th century?
that
at the
was
time
not
of
my
Muhammad?
argument. He ran to the Quran and the
no, here,
Injil because
we
he
wanna
couldn't
challenge this claim.
substantiate what I was
Here,
arguing.
please don't manifest, man. I want to bring you back to the conversation.
No, that's not. You're not bringing me back to nothing. Y'all
Here, so
ran
what
from my
was
actual
this?
argument.
What was this right here?
Substantiate.
Here, what was this right here? The gospel in the possession.
Stop muting me, you dog. Substantiate that Matthew.
Of the people at the time of Muhammad. I didn't forget you.
Did he bail out himself?
I guess so. I didn't forget you. I didn't forget your conversation. We'll drag you right back off the playground, friend.
Yeah, he I don't think he's prepared for that, man.
Imagine a Muslim doing history here.
DJ, what's going on, bro? I see that you had a pretty good turnout yesterday, man. I think I counted,
Hey, brother, God bless you. Yeah, I've been doing
think I
pretty
counted
good. I
like-
think those songs have been working.
I think I counted like 54 people when I was in there. I couldn't stay the whole time, but
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, we've been. What was it? Yesterday we had. I think we stayed above like 50, 60 pretty much the whole time. But brother, man, this thing is just, it's taking too much of my time. I was on freaking 9 hours.
Yeah, and it goes by quick if you're having some pretty good discussions, man.
Yeah, man. It's like, you know, I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't think I can do this like every single day. Well, especially that I'm not going to have as much free time as I have now. But it's like, yeah, the unfortunate part is couldn't get any semi intellectual Muslims to actually have debates on the topic. Except for a few that said, "Oh yeah, women have semen from their boobs. Oh yeah, 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 we're created from a blood clot." And I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, that's the part I heard you guys discussing when I was in there.
Oh
Not
man, it's like
particularly
seriously.
not particularly my topic, but
Yeah.
So this guy said that there's no resurrection in Isaiah 53. I mean, I think maybe it was in the JPS. I can't remember, I'll have to go back, but don't quote me. But somebody commented on this in one of the books I was reading and said this has to be a resurrection because he's unalived in this Isaiah 53.
correct. And he will see the light of life.
Life. And that's in the Psalm. Made his grave with the wicked. Remember, Jesus was put in Joseph of Arimathea's grave, the rich man?
Yep.
Right here. Isaiah's prophesying this 700 years, roughly 700 years before the incarnation, I think. Although he had done no violence and there was no deceit in his mouth, it was the will of Yahweh to crush him. Listen right here. He makes his soul an offering for guilt,
An asham.
an asham offering. His soul is that offering that's presented to Yahweh. And the Lord it says, he shall see his offspring and prolong his days. He's dead here.
The
but his
Hebrew
days-
actually means he will see seed.
Yeah, he will see seed, right?
So it's just Zerah. It's not Zero would be his seed.
Right. This is awesome, man, because the only way that he will see seed and have his days prolonged is the resurrection. This person that died here for the transgressions, put in a tomb, is resurrected here. Anywhere in Isaiah is about Muhammad. What's up, man? But it's weird because the God of the Quran doesn't even lay claim to Isaiah, does he?
What's that? What'd you say, Trav?
Oh, I just said the God of the Quran doesn't lay claim to authoring Isaiah, does he?
Well, you have, there's a minority position as to who Zul Kilf is. The majority of Muslim scholars say that it's talking about Ezekiel, but there's a minority that believes it's Isaiah.
Oh, well, this is good. So, because in the same Isaiah that's born of a virgin, this same son that's born is called the mighty God or El Gabor, right? In
Right.
Isaiah 9:6.
Hang on, let me see if I can get that. I have Emias Abdel Halim. I think he touches on that.
That's awesome, man. But the Muslims still pull up here and want to pull Isaiah apart because it undermines the Islamic doctrine. They're still coming at our scriptures like a buffet, though.
They don't have a choice, man.
Yeah.
Who's new on stage? Charlie Chaplin.
Hey, what's up? Is that Paul?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh, okay. What's up, man?
Was Muhammad an Arab? It's a yes or no question, bro. Bro, it's a yes or no question. Before we go continue, was Muhammad an Arab? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna give you one more chance, and then I'm gonna have to drop you if you don't answer the question. Okay, there's no need to apologize. Just answer the question. Was he an Arab? Was he an Arab? Was he Chinese? Okay, that's fine, man. Okay, so do you see how easy that was? Was Muhammad an Arab? Based off of all of the evidence that we have about Muhammad and his ethnicity, what was he? Was he an Arab? By Arab, I mean, by Arab, I mean like an Arabian, right? Okay, I'm gonna take a poll, fellas. What should we do with Charlie Chaplin? He's actually more of a clown than Charlie Chaplin is. Actually, more of a clown than Charlie Chaplin is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were we taking a vote?
Yeah, I was trying to be democratic about it, man.
I'm gonna speak like Allah here. We said you gotta go.
To my Christian brothers and sisters in the audience, man, that is an example of what not to be like, man. That guy could not tell me whether Muhammad was an Arab or not.
Salvation is from the Jews.
That Greek word is ek, which means out of, where we get our English word exit. He comes out of the salvation comes out of the Jews, not an Arab. Wow, man, I didn't think my post was that offensive, man. He made it seem I was attacking Arabs or something. But anyway, Travis, 2185 of the Quran.
I got you, bro. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, 2185. Oh, I was just letting you know where scholars believe. Here, let me see if I can.
This is funny because the Muslims always try to make fun of Ezekiel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so you have 2185 and 3848.